Oh, very cool.
What was that? What? What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens?
Hello, weirdos out there in weirdo land. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me in the chat room, and if you can hear me in your guys' houses, everyone just go rah.
Wow.
Rar.
Wow, Birdney.
Somebody's got volume on.
That would probably be my dumbass.
Mm.
Yep. Is it me? Your guys' houses, everyone just go rah.
Rar.
Somebody's got the volume on.
How about now? Can you hear? Hello.
Oh, look at that! It stopped. What was that?
Fun times.
Spooky.
Fun times, real spooky. Well, that was kind of a test run anyway of us running sound. I don't know what happened there, but
Are we good now?
I think we're good now.
Yeah, I don't hear
right?
any echo now.
Yeah, I don't think it was me.
That's so weird. Is this some
Vicky,
sort of-
I don't have anything on.
well, do you sense some type of spirit trying to mess with this podcast?
The same one that messes with us every single week.
Also, how's everybody doing? Let's start with you, Vicky. How's your week going? How's the whole virtual teaching?
Don't even get me started. I was just in a 45-minute virtual meeting. And let's just put it this way. I need to relax now.
You're drinking, Vicky.
Yes, at home. Yeah, this is my new hobby.
The only
Yeah.
spirits in my house are getting drunk.
Oh, look at that.
Birdney, are you drinking?
I'm drinking a root beer.
Yeah. And I
At
know
least it's a beer.
Yeah, it's a beer.
Denny's, you're not drinking.
I'm not. I got water, lamely.
So I do want to start off by asking you a ghost question, Vicky. When it comes to like a battlefield where so many people die, soldiers, and you have so much death and so much loss, what does that look like in the ghost world or the realm when they're all crossing over at the same time? Does the universe somehow, I don't know, feel an energy of all of this loss at once? How does that work?
Well, most of the time when you have a mass loss like that, it's going to leave an imprint on the earth. So we would probably experience it with what I've talked about, the difference between a residual haunt and an intelligent haunt. So probably you would still revisit what happened, usually on like an anniversary type basis. And it's just basically all of that sorrow and all of that turmoil is recorded in the earth, and then it will play itself back.
Very, very cool.
Is that like
Yeah,
a burial ground type of scenario?
In a traditional cemetery.
Kind of like where so many people have died that like their energy or bodies still kind of haunt the area.
There's one group of thought that says that in the case of a burial that you don't haunt your own grave, that there are no ghosts, quote unquote, ghosts in a graveyard. I beg to differ because I've been in certain cemeteries and I've definitely had experiences in them. But generally speaking, anytime that there is a lot of sorrow or sudden death, you're going to have some type of paranormal activity.
So when you do have that kind of loss, you talked last week about people being in a school or a room where they're taught their lessons. And I'm not trying to be cute when I say this, but you have all that loss. Do you have a overcrowding of a classroom, or do you have that many spiritual teachers that have lessons to teach people?
I've never seen multiple people in the same classroom. So, but I've also never read for multiple people at the exact same moment. Maybe there are some crossover with those quote unquote classrooms that I see. But I would imagine, hey, it's the other side. They have unlimited resources. I would imagine everybody would have room for their own classroom.
Because when you talk about this classroom, and this is where people go and get taught the lessons they weren't able to master here on Earth, I picture it one desk in the middle of this empty room that's very cold and very just kind of bland and plain, almost like there's fog around it too. Kind of like the scene in Halloween, the TV version when Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis is in that classroom. I know nobody knows what I'm talking about, but you've seen these classrooms. What do they look like? Am I close?
You're pretty close. The way it is shown to me, usually the person is standing, not sitting, and I just see like an empty room that has 4 walls around it, and then I'm shown like almost like on a whiteboard or something. I'm shown what it is they should have learned and what it is that they're supposed to learn. And then I'm sometimes given a glimpse as to how many classrooms they have to go through. Some people have more than one classrooms and they move from step to step into different classrooms.
Beckett, you're the skeptic of the show.
Hmm.
I think you believe in more stuff than you did before you got on the podcast. At least I feel like you're more into it. You
Yeah,
hear
for
Vicky
sure.
talk about these classrooms. Do you believe that stuff? Or do you think it's horseshit?
I think that I'm not sure. What's the word? Agnostic, in the sense that like I don't really disbelieve it or have like a firm belief. Like I'm kind of ignorant about it. I don't really know a lot about it to have one way or the other. But you're right. I'm definitely more open-minded when I first started.
Denny, you're a bit skeptical, like a Beckett.
That's true. Well, also real quick, I figured out the sound issue. I do apologize. I have a master sound, like, because I guess I'm the one that hosted. I have a master sound button, so it plays any sound off my computer in addition to anything I screen shared,
Very
which
cool.
is why it was like looping it. So I do apologize for that. I turned it off. You won't hear any more sound from me.
Don't
know
worry
what?
about it, kid.
Back to topic though. I
You
forgot
don't,
what-
by the way, you do not at all look high whatsoever.
Well, I'm in a different location. If you guys didn't notice, I'm over at Bird's Place, and yeah, the light is pretty unforgiving. I can see it in the camera here.
You got a lot of natural light there, kid.
There's a lot of natural light coming from outside here.
Yes,
That's
but
funny.
we're speaking of classrooms, and when you pass over, if you so Vicky, real quick, I'll get back to you, Denny's. I want to. If you were in a classroom, that means you had something you didn't learn on Earth. Or is it possible you don't ever go to a classroom? You just go to another level?
Yes, I see other people and I see that they never had to go to classrooms. They just simply transitioned into what they were either supposed to do on the other side. But a lot of people, especially if you left like children or a wife that you really, really loved, more than likely you're going to go to the other side. You're going to check in and say, hey, I'm here. You have free will, and you're going to come back and you're going to spend a good portion of your time here on Earth surrounding your loved ones.
All right, Denny's, you pass away, and all of a sudden you're in this classroom, and you hear a voice say, young man, your teacher will be in there in about 10 minutes. Just go ahead and take a seat. You have no idea why you're in there, but why would you think you are in there? If you had to guess, what would be the lesson you think in life you didn't learn?
If you follow the principles of what typically would, I guess, ascend you to the next spot, I feel like I don't stray too far away from that. I would be eligible, probably. I mean, on the path of enlightenment, so to speak.
But why would you be in the classroom?
I'm trying to think, like, why would I be held back, like, from disciplinary? I feel like I've walked the straight and narrow for the majority. I mean, maybe adolescent drug use, but I mean, I don't know if I'm at the pearly gates, they're gonna really like weigh that one down on you.
Too many plants.
Yeah, I mean,
when you were 19, you smoked this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever, I tried my best at least, to my knowledge, to not do anything undecent.
It was just one of those fun Google questions.
Yeah, it's a tough one though, because I mean, I guess held under the the interrogation light. And you can't go to the next spot unless you look within and find a moment that you can express to them. That'd be a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, Vicky, what are the main reasons why people are stuck in this classroom that you've seen and heard about?
I've seen child molesters there. I have seen just plain mean-spirited, mean-hearted people that were basically just cruel to their family for no reason. I've seen people that were never able to express their love to other ones and their loved ones. I've seen people that were like super, super, super stubborn here in life and would never admit they were wrong. Some of these cases, they were just in a small term classroom. Some of them were in there for the long haul.
So we're really talking about a misdemeanor up to a felony type of situation, kind of like prison.
Yeah, kind of. Very similar.
Interesting. And I'd imagine maybe someone that's in there for a lighter sentence to learn something, they would probably be more likely to go to that next level, right? Kind of like in the
Faster.
law. Yeah, faster.
Yeah, but some people, like I saw someone, he wasn't in there for maybe what you would think is a major crime. He wasn't in there because he molested somebody or he didn't murder somebody, but he was kind of a mean father, and he never told his kids that he loved them. I was shown that he was still so stubborn and refused to do that. He had been stuck in that same classroom. He'd been gone for 7 years, and he was still in that same classroom. And I was shown that when he gets ready to move on, he has at least 2 or 3 other classrooms to go to before he's going to be given his free will.
Jeez. That movie that you like, Defending Your Life, is kind of that same concept that when you pass on, you go through different trials and they show you moments in your life, and then you have to either learn from them and progress, or you have to repeat life again. And it's kind of funny because it's like embarrassing moments and how you handle situations bad. And then the girl that he's pursuing, I guess, in the purgatory, she has like these great moments where she saved like people from fires and stuff. You know what movie I'm talking about, right, Bird?
Yeah, I do. I don't think the audience does that.
It's a good movie though. No spoiler.
Movie Fluke, where the guy dies and he comes back as a dog, and every time you die, you come back as an animal.
Birdie, what animal, if you could come back as an animal, what would you come back as? If you had your choice, you had a menu.
I think I would come back as a type of bird because I would love to fly.
Eat worms.
Eat worms, fly. I gotta get that protein.
I would. I don't know if I want to be a bird. I'm scared of heights. Now, Vicky, if I was to be reincarnated as a bird, do I carry my height fear as a bird into that next level? That's a fair question.
I hope not, unless you're a penguin. Then you should be good.
Or an ostrich.
That's the bird I'd be, as a penguin. I like penguins. They're cool. Becky, I can see you coming back as a cheetah.
I like a cheetah. I think I want to be a golden retriever. Just kick it. Some like suburban family. Just have a nice life. Kick it. I don't think there's a better life than a dog, especially if you have the right household, right owners. Pretty good life.
Yeah, Vicky.
Cat, house cat.
Cat and dog. Cat,
Cat,
dog, bird.
a house cat. I think I'd come back as a llama. Something about a llama or a manatee.
Manatee's cool.
Man, I am such a fanatee. I love manatees so much. There was a park back in, it's still there, but for some reason the manatees don't gather like they used to. But back in like the late 90s out in North Palm Beach, they would come up to the seawall, baby manatees, big old mama manatees, and they are just such a peaceful creature. I'm coming back as a manatee.
You sealed it in.
Yeah.
I think weirdly though, in reincarnation, don't they consider coming back as an animal not necessarily desirable, because they consider animals to have life with purpose and no like soul. Kind of, you just only do monotonous tasks. Insects too. Insects are even lower than animal.
I think maybe you have that. I think it's called a mandala, right? And those are like the multiple layers.
The hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. So depending on what kind of life you live, you can get promoted or demoted based on the life you've led. And I guess the ultimate goal is to reach the center of that mandala, which is nirvana. And that's like the ultimate goal. So you live like a series of good lives and you eventually reach the promised land, so to speak. I think that's how it works.
Okay, well, out of the two, which one gets the promotion of these two animals? You got kangaroo or you got cheetah? Who gets the
kangaroo? I don't know, darn. Kangaroos are creepy, man.
I think those are pretty even. I think what happens if you live like a real crappy life, then you get demoted to like a rat or like something like real brutal.
They're even, Becky? What, you running for office? I need an answer. The roo or the big cat?
I think I'm going kangaroo. I think kangaroo fits my personality better. I think
the
kangaroos
kangaroo
vegetarian?
diet? Yeah, that's what I say. What's their diet?
A kangaroo?
What do they eat?
Australian meals?
Like,
I don't know.
Do they eat like tall grass or sticks, or like or do they actually like hunt rats or pheasant?
Chat room, you guys are going to be our research department. Denny's really needs to know what kangaroos eat.
Well, I just never thought about it.
In the chat room section. Speaking of big cats, Who here is sick of Joe Exotic? Is anybody sick of Tiger King? Or are you guys still into it?
I am.
Yeah, I'm getting to the burned out. I got kind of burnt out after that last special.
See, it's weird sometimes to talk about something like that because not everyone's seen it. So when you talk about it, you don't know if everyone gets the references, and I can see how that can be annoying.
Yeah, so I would just watch it. It's pretty short. It will definitely hold your attention.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty short. It's only
it-
8.5 hours.
It's a quick burn though, man. It's a lot of information coming at you, and then you're done with it.
All right, I want to go around the forum room here. So Joe Exotic would be on the list of stuff that you've been quarantined with that you might be sick of. Vicky, what else about this quarantining and the corona, all of this stuff? What are you the most, I'm over it with?
The blame, the blaming,
The what?
the blaming. Everybody pointing their finger at everybody else. I'm done with the blaming.
The
let's
blame
just
game.
let's just get this together, cure this. Let's get back to life as normal. I'm done.
I'm not sure if you're seeing it more on the phones, Denny's, but I'm certainly seeing it more in the texts and I'm seeing it more in the comments on social media that the whole coronavirus, even as topics are coming out, it's getting a little divided. People are so Kevin had a stat, and I'm not sure where he got it from, but he was thinking, I think, was it 25% of people without a doubt think that we're not being fed all of the right information. There's more to this whole thing.
Yeah,
And that's kind of a big number.
yeah, that is.
1 out of 4. Birdie, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that they can't tell us, like they can't tell us everything on a regular basis. But when it comes to like what's actually happening, I think what it comes down to is that some people are living in areas where they're not as affected, and obviously people are living in areas where it's really affected. I think what people have to understand is that, like with Iceland and South Korea, who were able to test most of the people who had coronavirus were asymptomatic, which means that, let's say I went to the store yesterday and I have it now. I'm asymptomatic, so I don't know I have it. So I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I don't have it. So then I go out and then I spread it to everyone else. And I think that's where the real danger is, and why we have to have guidelines and come out eventually, is because most people don't have symptoms. Thank goodness, but that's how you get other people sick and it spreads crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Denny's answers all the phones for the KVJ show. What are you kind of hearing on the phone lines? Because not every call that you pick or you take goes on the air, because some people, Denny's will pick up the phone and it'll be 10 F-bombs within 20 seconds, and you just can't put that person on the air.
Yeah, calls could vary from people that sometimes just want to call in and voice their opinion anonymously. There's also people who want to call in and just chat. They don't even want to go on air ever. And then there's a lot of people that just, dropping off information. But then some people call in, they're really mad about something.
Something with the coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's weird. More confusion, I'd say, than anger with coronavirus. People just want to know what's going on, and I think there's not enough information that people trust. It's weird. So they're confused.
What are you over with all this?
I think I'm kind of similar to Vicky. I'm kind of over like all of the news cycles, and it seems like they're kind of feeding us the same thing. I think, in my opinion, one of the problems is like, it doesn't seem like there's like consistent messaging and transparency. And I think what happens, leaders on both sides of the aisle and everything lose credibility when they're saying, hey, don't wear masks. And then people are like, okay. And then they're like, but now wear masks. We're like, well, you told us 2 weeks ago not to wear a mask. Now you're saying it's law or ordinance or highly suggested, depending on, do you live in Boca or you're in West Palm, and then it's different. And I think you lose credibility with our leadership, and you have a lot of people, whether it's a local mayor or the manager of Publix, that are having to like fill those vacuums. And to me, that's frustrating because it's mixed messaging. And I think it's really frustrating to all of us, a lot of us.
Yeah, I think for me, it's tough to talk about it a lot. You know what I mean? To constantly talk about it, find a different angle, because some people don't want to hear about it. Some people do want to hear about it. You've got everybody and their mother trying to figure out what people want to hear and what people are searching for in these kind of weird times. And it's kind of like when you go through a hurricane, where for a good 1 or 2 weeks, we're very hurricane driven, but you also want to try to get maybe some comedy out there, but you also don't want to. It's just one of those weird times. And it's really, I think for me, what I'm seeing is some people want the information and some people want no information. They want to laugh. They want to hear something else. And just even on your level of talking about how things are inconsistent, I'm even seeing that within people who get any kind of content. Now, I'm the kind of person I usually, if I want hardcore news, I'm gonna go where hardcore news is at. If I want that, if I want to go laugh, I'm gonna go try to find something that's in that laughing vein. But it's a weird mix to try to give information, because we do a public service. Radio is free, so there's an obligation there as well to make sure people are informed. So that for me, that's been the weird challenge.
What bothers me is the fact that you could go on and you can read a completely informative, it could be full of numbers, it could be full of facts. I make the mistake of clicking into the comments. And that's where I lose it, by reading these comments, because the comments have nothing to do with the information that was just in there. The comments are just there, people fighting and inciting other people. And that's, I'm done. And believe it or not, I still click on it. I mean, I know the smart thing would be not to click, but I still click out of curiosity.
To your point, I mean, and this is semantics here, but you could argue that social media is one of the deadliest drugs out there, just on the way that it depletes the spirit for people. Vicky, I get the same way. Is if I read enough stuff, no matter what it is, it can drive you a little mad. And if you're not careful, social media can without a doubt wreck your spirit.
Totally.
If you're not careful. I mean, I know that's a dramatic statement, but people get caught up in it, man. You gotta, I mean, there really is the whole thing. Don't read the comments, because son of a bitches are mean out there, man.
So
They'll rip your soul out. They'll rip everything about you. And that's for anybody. That's not just for public figures. That's social media in general.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
Not everyone's go ahead, Beckett.
I think that not reading a lot of the comments, especially if you're a public figure or like any kind of spotlight in anything, it's for your own self-preservation. That's the best advice I was ever given. You see one complimentary thing about something and you're like, oh, this is interesting. And then you go down and then your soul's just crushed by these people. And, it's someone sitting in a basement that's just projecting usually. So I think it's better not to engage. But I, like Vicky, sometimes I feel the urge to correct
Compelled.
people. Yeah, and then I always get mad at myself, like, why'd I get sucked into that conversation?
It happens to the best of us, man.
It does, man. It can happen to everybody. Just stop typing. Just stop typing.
Well, you just gotta stop scrolling at some points, man. You gotta step away.
Well, I think that's a good ending point into a new beginning point, Denny's, which would be Denny's Random Facts.
We gotta go faster.
That's rough.
So painful.
Maybe we should start a little jingle for an intro for his facts.
There you
Yeah, Becky, don't tell me how to run the show. I'm just kidding. It's actually a very good idea. We're gonna try to do some more production for the Weird Whatever. It's just KVJ shit.
Yeah. And the corona is a big topic too.
As always, Denny's will be reading off one of his factoids. Vicky is our educator. She grades Denny's, A being excellent, F being failure.
First random fact for you guys here. Do you guys know why the Amish grow beards, but they shave their mustaches?
Mustaches are creepy.
That you would think that would be the answer, and that should
That's
be
great.
the answer.
I'm gonna get all these Amish emails now. Thanks, Vicky.
On what?
All right. Come on. We're beating up the Amish.
I'm just saying. So the reason
I don't
go
think the
on.
Amish could even watch this, right? Technically, in their religion, can they watch this?
No, they
I
wouldn't
don't
be
know.
able to.
I'm not sure a lot of people should watch this back here.
Fair enough.
So the reason they do that is to represent their pacifism. The Amish associate mustaches with the military in that time. Thus, they shave their mustaches to show that they never served in warfare, and it became the Amish way. But that's why they have beards and no mustaches.
I just want to make sure. Did you just say Amish?
Possibly.
Yeah, you said omelet. And by the way, that sounds delicious.
Ooh, an omelet does sound delicious.
All right, Vicky, you look disinterested.
No, I like that one. It was very simple, but I liked it. It was interesting. It's a little factoid you can pull out if you're on Jeopardy. So I'm going to go ahead and give that an 8.
Oh,
Amish.
Woo.
a boy.
Red
A
stripe.
boy. Yeah, good job with that omelet fact, Denny.
You actually brought up fear earlier, Bird, so I'm going to throw this one at you here.
Brought up what?
Fear.
Fear?
Fear. Well, so there's a medical procedure you can get to remove your sense of fear. Would you ever do that?
No.
Really? I guess it'd be dangerous,
Well,
right?
because I think you learn from some fear. I think a fearless person, you get shit done, but I don't know, man. Can you level with just a normal person if you're fearless with everything?
What if
You'd end up dead. You'd end up dead quick.
I
Yeah.
feel like you would end up dead. Go
Well, yeah.
go out and investigate that man out there with the knife. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
what if you experienced fear beforehand and then you had the memories of fear, but then later in life alleviated all fear?
Bottom line, if you are fearless, there's nothing you can't accomplish. You would literally be able to make every dream of yours happen because you just wouldn't give
You
a shit.
would.
You would never take no as an answer. Nothing could ever stop you. But when you have such an extreme to that level, now you're a super god, and everyone else is down here. I see an imbalance, Denny's.
There's
Yeah,
actually
well,
a condition where someone was born without fear.
There
actually
is.
several people.
Say that again, Brittany.
There's several people on this planet that were born without like a certain brain function where they weren't able to feel fear, and they actually grew to an older age and everything. It's an interesting read. I could probably research it more next time and talk about it, but there are people out there who don't have fear.
Do you know what kind of lives they live? Are they people that are extreme, like we're extreme, or
like
do
Vikings.
or do they just live everyday life and they're like, you know what? I'm just not afraid of anything.
The person that they interviewed, it was more like they lived a pretty normal life, but it was interesting because they didn't understand what fear was. Like, so it was coming from their perspective where they're like, what are you talking about? Because they don't have that feeling. So it was more interesting to hear them be like, I don't understand this fear that people talk about. Like, I just do it. And then they said, once they realized they were missing it, like, yeah, there were probably several times I was in danger. Like, I put myself in dangerous situations and it was a woman. So like walking back with men and stuff like that. And they were just extremely lucky, I guess. But
Wow, Brittany, that's a great factoid, great story. Watch your back, Denny's.
There's people also born who can't feel pain. That's a pretty tough one as well, because they say it's very debilitating because they constantly are breaking and hurting themselves.
Oh yeah, you're like laying on a cactus as a pillow. You're like, it doesn't hurt.
It's just crazy. I guess all that stuff's housed in your amygdala. In fact, if you're interested in the surgery, if you don't want to feel fear anymore, selective amygdala hippocampectomy is the procedure that you want. Just let them know.
Vicky, what do you think of that one?
I kind of missed the whole point of what was the just that we could get rid of fear. Is that it?
Damn.
So you kind of lost focus. It wasn't completely your fault. I a C.
I appreciate that.
That's funny.
Brittany kind of shined on that one. She kind of took your thunder.
sorry.
Yeah, she gets an A. You got a C.
Damn.
I'll take it as long as I pass. Let's see here. This one's for the Birdman because I know you like Abraham Lincoln. Do you know what Abraham Lincoln was before he became president?
Player.
I'm sorry. I'm having really bad audio problems, guys. I'm having a tough time hearing you. I apologize. Can you repeat that? There was a glitch when you were talking a couple of minutes ago. Say it again, bud.
So, did you know what Abraham Lincoln did before he was president?
Yes, he was a cheesemaker.
You wish. That'd be awesome, though.
That would be.
He actually was a bartender. Isn't that crazy? The Abe Lincoln that you guys know and love was a licensed bartender. In fact, they have a liquor store in Lincoln's hometown, Springfield, Illinois, that has currently on display his liquor license from 1833.
Could you imagine if they had Twitter back then when he became president? Someone's like,
You're like, he's a liquor
dude,
store
that
guy.
guy sold me a beer at a bar one night. Could you imagine that?
Isn't that so random, though? He was the owner of a tavern.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder, did Lincoln drink at all? I know he had an STD, and back then STDs were rough. And I think he gave it to Mary, his wife, and it troubled him with guilt for a long time. Chat room, let me know if that factoid is bullshit. But I thought I saw that on the History Channel, so let me know if I'm wrong. I know we got a Lincoln historian out there.
I'm dropping
Oh.
some STD facts out there.
Player.
That's good, Denny's. I love it.
This is super duper random. There's been an increasing number of elderly Japanese people committing small crimes so they can intentionally live in prison for free. And the concept behind it is that the Japanese hate to burden the youth. The youth are very busy these days, so they hate to burden them. And it's actually easier for them to get arrested and live in jail for a year, and then they save up the money that the government pays them, and they spend it, and then they get rearrested and go back to jail for a year.
That's
Super.
sad.
It's sad because that's their Japanese stigma over there, that it's not good to be a burden on anyone.
But
So
aren't
it's-
the young people paying in taxes for them anyways?
Well, so the problem is the money that they get from the government is not enough to sustain them. So it started off a few years ago. This guy figured it out, and he posted on social media what he was doing, this old guy, because one of his nephews saw it or something. And then another old woman, 70 years old, got arrested. And they thought it was weird that older people were getting arrested for these petty crimes. They started looking into it, and they saw that they were intentionally doing it.
Wow.
Weird. That's a
Vicky.
social stigma.
Vicky, could you give a grade for the Lincoln one and for that one?
Sorry, back
The
to
Lincoln one I liked. Cheers to that one. But this last one, he gets a D for depressing. I'm sorry.
Wow. It did kind of bring the room down, Dennis. You lost 13
Yeah.
followers.
They can't all be happy. Let's
Yeah.
see here.
I'm sorry. Correction, 18 followers.
Oh.
No, I said we lost 18 followers.
Oh.
Give us some more, baby. You're in the pocket tonight, kid.
Just to quote you from earlier, Bird, since this is, you'll get the reference once I get to it, but in June 2013, a fossil analysis discovered a large lizard. It was an extinct reptile, and he named it after Jim Morrison. It's called the Bear Botryrex Morrisoni, sorry. And this is the Lizard King. I am the king of the lizards. Pretty funny reference to Jim Morrison. What do you
And
think?
it's Vicky. I don't know.
I gotta go with the C for that one.
Wow, the last couple facts have really brought down your overall grade, Denny's.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Your average is, you gotta end this with an A.
Let's end this with an A. Let's see
Because
here.
I'm just letting you know, Denny's, that Birdney came with the fire. I mean, if this segment's becoming too much for you,
I love it. I love it.
I'm just kidding.
Let's see. Did you know that every panda in the zoo around the world is actually on loan from China? China does not allow any pandas to ever be sold or given away. They are only on loan from China. What do you think of that?
Didn't you say this before?
Oh shit! This is like a battle rap. This is like a battle rap, and you just got called out.
I don't believe I have. I mean, I may
Chat,
have.
hold on.
I've done a lot of facts over there, so it's tough.
Let me just go ahead and say this: the chat room will remember. Chat room, did Denny's repeat that factoid? Because I mean, Denny's. That's
All on loan from China.
going to be a black eye on the Weird Whatever podcast.
It's possible. After all this time, I could have repeated one.
Chat room. Let's see what they're saying. They're saying Denny's, get it together, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I have the chat up too.
I'm just kidding. Beckett, what are you drinking over there?
I got a
If
little
you-
red wine.
Okay. I apologize if I keep going in and out and cutting people off. There's a slight delay on my end, and I got to realize once I ask a question, I can't go back to a second question. So I apologize. But say it again, Beckett. You're drinking red wine. You're getting horny.
That's right. Red wine. Sometimes red wine makes me, it's funny how alcohols have a different effect. Tequila is fun. Red wine is a little bit more like talking. I get a little emo, I think, sometimes on red wine. I think, Jaybird, you said you get a little emo on red wine too, don't you?
No, so I don't really drink red wine. Red wine kind of, I don't know. It's kind of, I feel like it's heavier.
It's a Debbie Downer.
White wine gets the horny out. Red wine, I can see me putting on some records and maybe just getting deep with myself during these quarantine times. So am I the only one here that's living by themselves during this, or do you guys have people that you too, Brittany?
Yeah, just my pets and I.
Just
What
my
about
pet and I
Beckett?
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm just kicking it down in Highland Beach. I got my pup and just kind of cruising.
So, but Beckett, you're not. There's no way a Beckett is sleeping alone at night. There's no way.
6 feet.
That little laugh says it all. People
Well,
do.
I was real curious what people are doing in quarantine. Does this make people more careful about hooking up? Are they going to their houses, or are they only receiving people at their house? Are they having a protocol of washing hands when they come over? Like,
Dude,
what are people doing?
We did a call today. It's going to air tomorrow on the KVJ show, and it's kind of about that type of stuff. People that are hooking up during these times, and we'll touch upon it on tomorrow's show. But Denny's, how mad and how big of a situation would it be behind the scenes if Virginia found out that I brought a girl over and was hanging out with her?
I should be real pissed.
It would cause so much problem. It's just not worth it, man. So I'm at that level when it comes to when I hear people going out and hooking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. I'm not allowed to.
I would be afraid of hooking up in general, catching an STD, let alone something even more contagious, which is coronavirus. So there's no way.
Well, Birdie, that's just part of Dayton 101. The STD forest out there is always a possibility.
Jaybird, would you rather have a girl come over and get corona or gonorrhea?
Damn, Becky, that's
Which one, Bird?
you can tell the vino's kicking in.
I actually have some logic behind the answer, though.
I am going to go. Well, here's the weird thing. Gonorrhea, you can hug people and it can be out of your system in 3 days. You can go to work. You can do all that stuff. It won't kill you because we're not in the 1800s.
Virginia won't be pissed.
Well, even if I had corona and I had the most mildest of symptoms for at least 2 weeks, probably 3, I'm not going to be allowed to go to the station. I won't be on the show. If I will, I'll be patched in. Like everything will change. And I do not want that to happen either. So I'm going to go. Funny enough, I can't believe I'm saying this, but give me gonorrhea.
I think it's a good choice. There's logic that backs it up.
Yeah, I mean, you put me on the spot. I was just working it through, but
I like it.
Denny's, how would you answer that question? That's a great question.
What, the gonorrhea one? The gonorrhea?
What would be worse for you, gonorrhea or corona? Corona, right?
Yeah, Corona's unknowna, so I would probably go gonorrhea because at least I know that one goes away.
It's unknowna that corona for your bona.
Oh, yeah.
But you got some explaining to do with the gonorrhea.
Good point,
That'd be a
Vicky.
tough one.
Yeah, you all of a sudden told Jen you've got.
I'm like, don't worry, it's not Corona.
The good news is it's not corona.
Yeah, that'd be rough. That'd be a tough one.
Good job, Beckett. Birdie, someone just tweeted me out or just private messaged me on Twitter. They want to know what your dating status is. In fact, we did this question before, but I think we only talked about Denny's and Vicky. Nobody. So what is your dating status, if you're allowed to talk about it or not?
Yeah, it's just me. I mean, I have not been, seeing anyone. I haven't been touching anyone. It's just me in quarantine. I guess let me.
There's two different things.
I touched something, but not anyone.
Wait, what did you say, Birdie?
I said, let me rephrase it. I touched something, but not someone else. So that is the status.
I'm picking up what
right
you're.
now.
I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
All right. He's got that red wine.
Oh, Beckett could move the world right now.
Red wine. Make him feel so fine.
That's right.
Jen's comment in the chat room. Sorry, Jen.
Jen would be Denny's wife.
Mhm.
Yes. Beckett, single?
It's complicated.
It's complicated. Vicky, on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is that answer? 15?
I'm over it. Yeah, I'm over it.
Well,
Make
when
it
the
make a
census-
decisive, declarative statement there, Beckett. Let's go.
Well, think about when the census came in the mail. These were my options: single or married. Right? That's fair.
You love that the census just came out for that.
So I accidentally threw my census away. So that's not good. Yeah, okay. I've never
Screw
filled one
them.
out. Yeah, I've never filled it out. Virginia, I'm not even kidding you. She goes, "You're gonna go to jail if you don't fill out the census." I'm like, Virginia, what the shit are you talking about? I've never filled out one of those in my life. No jail.
Now they know you haven't filled it out though, so now they're gonna find you.
Well, bring it on.
And now everybody
Bring it
knows
on.
you're a badass.
You're a
Yeah.
criminal.
Jason Badass Pennington.
Yeah, fuck the census.
Denny's first F-bomb of the podcast. It was Denny.
That's right. I put 18 plus on this one though.
Good. That's good.
We learned.
I love it. The one someone had a question for you, Vicky. Here, dear weird and whatever. Can a ghost, not a demon, take over a human being? If so, how does that happen? Could Vicky explain? Doris from Vero Beach.
Yes, I mean, human spirits have been inhabiting human beings. Some people do it on purpose. It's called channeling. And if you're a certain type of medium, you can actually invite that spirit to temporarily take over your body so they can use, your body to move. Most of the time they use it just so that they could speak freely through you. In fact, one of the great ghost hunters of all time, Hans Holzer, that's what he did. He used a trance medium. The spirit would occupy the trance medium's body. He would ask them questions, figure out what they wanted, try to see if they could find a solution, and then usually the haunting was cleared up. So absolutely. So you could be, if you're not a trance medium, you could be in a situation where you have a really, really strong human spirit. Anytime that you are in an altered state, like Beckett with his multiple glasses of red wine down there, that is a situation when you alter your body to the point where you're vulnerable, that makes it easier for a human spirit to do that.
I'm very
Okay,
vulnerable over here.
so I would, for example, my situation here at my place. And by the way, I am littered with shadow people. I feel like there's 3 different shadow people, almost kind of like medium, large, and small, Vicky, where sometimes I'll see one and for a second I can almost make out arms and legs, and then I look over and it kind of like disappears into the wall. And then there'll be times where I'll see 2 of them together. Same thing. It looks like 2 people talking on the corner of my eye. I'll turn over, and when I turn, they're gone. So let's say me and you go up into my room. That sounded very, very dirty. That's not what I meant. We go up into the room to do the ghost reading, and you say, okay, the ghost here in Jaybird's closet, I want you to take over Jason and to give me a message. In theory, could that possibly happen?
In theory, I would have to ask them to take over my body in order to do that. So I can't put that invitation on somebody else. So it would have to be me. And it's weird because I've often felt like in certain investigations that someone was trying to use me as a trance medium. And I actually contacted somebody a few weeks ago because I'm working on something and I wanted the spirit to be able to speak through me, but it's very dangerous. So I put feelers out to see if anybody knew a trance medium that could help me with this, or either do it for me or to teach me how to do it safely.
Okay, so if I wanted to try to have something take over me, and I had you in the room with me as a guide, and I was the one saying, please use me as a vessel, take over, is that something where you could guide it to happen?
If I were more well-versed, I'm not well-versed in trance mediumship, so I would not take a chance.
If somebody, okay, let's say
But if you had somebody experienced, it's with them. But you got to realize, if you are the person that's being taken over, you have no conscious memory of what you have just said or what you have done. So that's why a person should never allow a spirit to take over them without someone else present, because you have no memory of what you've done and what's been said.
Well,
So
Vicky,
you have to have somebody there.
I'm going to record it. You know I like to record.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do it by, alone.
No,
Period.
but I guess what I'm saying is because the people really want more footage of my room, and I'm just thinking of different things, just to prove to people, because I think that is important. You can tell campfire tales till you're blue in the face, and that's all fun and that's all great for laughs and giggles and entertainment. But it gets to a point where, especially when us doing this podcast, is I want some proof. I want people to, no matter what we're talking about. I think that is something we all should be after. And to me, thinking if we did it right, I go upstairs, we have somebody try to get the ghost in me to use a vessel, and then we record it. That'd be kind of cool. Beckett, what are your thoughts on that? Would that be cool?
I'm all for you trying it out, dude.
Vicky, does that go against any credo of yours, or?
If you were trained as a trance medium, then I have absolutely no problem with it. Like I said, Hans Holzer, who was very successful, he did that for years and helped people with their hauntings in their home because he got to hear firsthand what those spirits wanted. I have no problem, like I said, with the concept of it. It's just
Okay.
finding a person who's actually trained to do it.
Okay, I love it. So if anyone is trained to do that, let us know, and then we'll have you vet them, Vicky, because you'll know if
Right.
they're full of shit or not. But I'd like to do something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool,
Oh.
just to see if anything happens. It may be a dud, but that'd be interesting.
And I'd be interested if anybody does, if you know anybody that is a trance medium who's willing to train me. There's, like I said, there's been plenty of times on investigations where I felt like the spirit wanted to use me, and I felt like I could have easily gone into that state, but I've stopped myself. I would love to actually learn how to do that, because anything that I can do to help solve problems, mysteries, things that are going on, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I know that's an important issue for you, as it is for all of us on the podcast. That is the one thing I'd like to get back to doing. We didn't get a lot of interaction with it, but it was bringing up the cold case files of South Florida here, Palm Beach County, Miami, anywhere really here in Florida. Birdie, maybe you can help me kind of get more organized with that. I feel like that would be something you'd be awesome at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
because we have so many cases out here that we still need to talk about them. Even if only hundreds of people hear them, we do have somewhat of an obligation to keep them alive. Because I know this, if it was my family, I'd want people to still talk about it. If there was something to where someone could get caught and there's still, someone that can go to jail and get closure. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Vicky, go ahead.
We do have a current case of a missing persons, and it's been like, I've seen it on Facebook. It's been written up in some national newspapers about a Jupiter woman who is still missing, but they believe that the husband has something to do with it. If anybody has any information on that case, just look it up. And maybe you can contact the local police department and help them with this.
I grew up with that guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I grew up with him. He grew up in Lake Park, and everything I ever played against, we're always against each other. We're never on the same team. And he ended up being a very, very talented basketball player at Palm Beach Gardens High School. And we never liked him. I always thought he was a bitch. I just did. I really did. He was the kind of guy that would just, cry if he got fouled and make this big spectacle, and other teams couldn't stand him. But he very, very talented. And I literally went to school with that guy, elementary, high school. So when I saw that story, it's always so bizarre when you see those kind of stories and you know the person.
Totally.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, that's a great call, Vicky. If anyone has any information or anybody, what was the term again for that type of psychic?
A trance medium. Anybody
Love
that
it.
knows has any training as a trance medium and is willing to teach me or to help us with an experiment.
I love it. Denny showed me something that's going around the internet now. That Catch a Predator. Did you guys ever see that show with Chris Hansen, To Catch a Predator?
Won't you have a seat? Isn't that what he says?
Yes.
So basically what they do is if you don't know what this is they hide cameras in these houses, and they get these guys who are trolling, looking for underage kids to get with and to hook up with. And it's terrible, but they have no idea what's going on. And they come into the house. They have it's usually a fake decoy. Do you know have you seen this, Vicky?
I've heard
No.
of it.
Yeah, so they get these guys. Some of these guys will drive 2-3 hours to meet a 12-year-old. Now, keep in mind, it's a sting, so they're not really talking to a 12-year-old, but they don't know that. And they walk in there, and so for like the first couple minutes, they'll have the decoy in the room, and the creeper will walk in. He'll try to hug the girl or the boy really quick. Now, meanwhile, you've got people with cameras in the background, and the police are out in the front yard or the backyard getting ready to arrest him. And you showed me one today.
It just popped up.
People were actually defending him, and I couldn't believe it because here was the debate. This guy was there to meet a 12-year-old. And then he claimed to have mental illness, and that's why he was doing these, despicable things. And some people sided with him because he had mental illness, and obviously, I would say 70%, 80%. Hang him! He's a pervert! How dare him? But I was surprised that many people were defending someone who was there to meet a 12-year-old. I mean, they were defending him, saying this is entrapment, this isn't fair. To the point of this guy's got mental illness, you should take it easy on him. Vicky, what's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I would say that's very similar to the Michael Jackson situation where they claimed that it was odd for him to be hanging out with these young kids, but their justification is that he was very childlike himself because he didn't have a childhood. So they were kind of defending his actions on hanging out with these young children for, kind of a similar situation. I guess it would all depend on what mental illness you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he said it was bipolar. Was it bipolar, Denny's? Depression, anxiety,
I don't think any of that justifies
that would justify.
No, he was obese. I think he had some medical problems. So Birdie, just before we go into this conversation, I am not defending this pig. I think what he did was horrible and despicable. I'm only bringing up the topic just because of how many people I was alarmed or surprised
that actually did defend it.
Yes. All right, Birdie, you got the floor.
I don't know. I was going to say I'm diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and eventually you get to a point, but I mean, I've had therapy and stuff, and I'm now an adult, but what the difference is between right and wrong. And just because you have something, that doesn't excuse your actions. Like, I hate when anyone uses depression to treat people like crap or anything like that, because I understand what you feel like. I was diagnosed with this, but I still know mentally that I should not say that, or I should not do that, even if I feel a certain way.
You hit on something I think is very, very insightful, and a lot of people don't talk about it. Because depression and anxiety, it does totally suck, and it's awful, and you can have a tender heart to anyone who goes through that, but that is not an excuse to treat people like assholes. I agree with you 110% on that. It's not an excuse.
It's not, in your head, just like someone who doesn't have anxiety and depression. Like, when you're angry, you have a choice to act on your emotions or you don't. But you have that choice.
Am I off to say, and I think it's a spectrum, but doesn't every human being have some form of depression and anxiety on some level? I mean, raise your hand in the chat room, and raise your hand. When I say chat room, I'm talking to you guys, the team. Raise your hand. Have you ever had depression, suffered from it? Yeah. I mean, isn't that part of the human experience? Shit's going to be sad sometimes. I think sometimes too, just growing up, just being a regular human, there's going to be certain times where your chemistry is going to be a little off.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between chronic depression, though, and just having depression.
Agreed, for sure.
I call the difference between a clinical depression, the one that's been diagnosed as a true chemical imbalance, as opposed to pity party. Like yesterday, I had a pity party. Okay, party of one, it was me, hacked and everything. That was a self-induced pity party. That wasn't a chemical imbalance in my body.
That's a great point. You're absolutely right. Because I mean, I've had family members that really, really struggled with the blues to the point where it was at a different level. So you have to think there's something else going on there where it's not just a pity party. Yeah.
Going back to the story, the guy's a pig and blah, 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 but just more on a higher level, if you zoom out, like, I wonder, if anyone in the chat room or anyone's an attorney, doesn't that feel like it's entrapment, like to actually set someone up in a crime? Like I feel
So
like that.
that's where that was the debate on some of the people defending him, saying, well, there really wasn't a 12-year-old girl here. But here's the thing, Beckett, the intention was there, and a lot of times they admit it to Chris Hansen that they are there to meet a 12-year-old. Now, some of them play it smooth and try to get slick with it. They go,
Right.
oh, dude, I thought she was 22. I thought it was a 2. I thought this was role-playing, chat room, all that stuff. But when the person comes in there and says, yeah, I brought condoms. Yeah, I got weed. Yeah, I thought she was 12. That's when you're like, all right, the intent, you were there to meet a 12-year-old.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and actually is a really good point. I think, I don't know if it was Joe Rogan, but they were saying, maybe it was Dave Chappelle. They were talking about how it was really messed up that the police had an undercover, really attractive woman who was in her early 20s, and she pretended to be kind of like interested in the 16-year-old and bought pot from him. And, you know, the intent was there for him to get marijuana. He was just trying to get pot for his hot girlfriend. But like, that was a scenario where, you know, you can, I know it's apples and oranges to compare the two stories, but like, you know, you remember when you were a 16-year-old boy, like you're like, you know, and you got this cute girl and like, you know what I mean? I just feel like sometimes like the lines get a little blurred as like, you know, it becomes a little bit like extreme analogy, like Minority Report, like where it becomes pre-crimes. And all of a sudden, like, you know, this people are coercing where the kid would have never ever got pot, maybe not, but like, and then he was put in the situation. Now he's in trouble.
Well, here's the difference, Becky. I see what you're saying, but two things you can't do, especially in this country. You can't fuck with children and you can't fuck with animals. For those are like for a lot of people, it's going to be just. You're going to be a creepo. You're there to meet a 12-year-old kid. Don't give a shit about your problems. That 12-year-old is going to be more damaged than you could ever be as an adult because they're 12 years old. And I think that's the difference. People don't have no sympathy when it comes to kids, and I get it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's actually a great point.
Vicky?
And if you're going to talk about entrapment, okay, he had a choice whether he was going to talk to this 12-year-old that really wasn't a 12-year-old. And you want to say, well, if I go to a store that has a lot of cool things, oh, that was entrapment. You shouldn't have had all those things there for me to steal.
Where does it end?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times too, they'll read back the comments and the guy will say, oh my gosh, I could get in trouble for this. Oh, like they incriminate themselves in the chat room, already showing the intent. But to your point, there was a percentage of people saying the entrapment argument for sure. But great commentary on that. Very, very good. But yeah, I'd never seen that one before, and it's going around on Reddit right now. And I don't know if that show got picked up again. Last I heard, Chris Hansen was in a real bad way, so I just don't know.
In like January, supposedly he had like multiple bounced checks and owed money. So what happened with all that?
Chris Hansen did?
Yeah, weirdly. He got arrested for it.
He was in a real bad way. I don't know about real bad way. When I say real bad way,
he was in a bad way for sure.
His show got put on hold because he was in some trouble.
Financial issue of some sort. Even earlier this year, pre-corona.
The IRS was like, Chris Hansen, take a seat.
Birdie, how long we been going for?
I don't have the time. I think Denny's does.
Sorry, Denny's. How long we been going for, brother?
About an hour right here.
Okay, I want to end on a high note, a positive note. Everybody, please tell me something unique other than I love my family and my lover is hot or whatever. The basic, boring stuff. We all know all that. Something specific. Let's start with Denny's.
I'm pretty thankful. So I ordered some new stuff from my shrimp. You guys know that I have like a bunch of shrimp going on. What's cool is I've been watching the Miracle of Life through them. So I now have, I don't want to brag, but somewhere upward of 50 something shrimp, the Opa Ula shrimp that are going off. So I'm actually upgrading their tank to a larger aquarium. So I ordered a bunch of new cool stuff, and I'm gonna start getting some new water going, so I can transfer them over to the larger container. So I'm just real excited to be, flush with shrimp at the moment.
Well, I mean, you sound excited.
Well, thanks.
Bergie, what's something that's going on great in your life that's positive, fun?
I'm really excited because I ordered that Baby Yoda doll from Hasbro that's coming out in December. So it's going to ship to me in December, but it's the animatronic Baby Yoda doll that looks really real. So I'm super psyched for that.
I love it. It's great. Vicky.
Of course, mine has to be paranormal. Yesterday, I did an experiment because I was trying to specifically talk to a spirit. It's not connected to my house or anything like that. It's something that I'm trying to help with. And so I did an EVP session in my car while I was on the way to get my kids some takeout. And I asked a specific question, and I got a female voice that answered me in my car, and they said yes. And that question that I asked was super important, and I really appreciate it. And that was pretty cool.
I love it. Good stuff. Beckett.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm excited. We got we won this contest for HGTV little pilot for real estate. So instead of doing some cheesy dating show, we're actually doing something that's relative to my career. So people have asked me, "Oh, would you do reality TV again?" And I was like, "Well, probably not, unless it was something that was actually like not lowbrow and something actually like more centric to my career."
It's okay, baby. It's okay, Chewy.
So it's just something that's a little bit more in my wheelhouse, and who knows what will come of it. But we're in the HGTV tent, and we're going to film a sizzle in, I think, mid-May, depending on the Corona guidelines.
Awesome. Guys, I'm going to have to make this quick because my boy Chewy needs my attention. I'm very thankful, to get my Mac computer back. It's making my job so much easier. Oh, I love it. And YouTube just uploaded a bunch of G.I. It's okay, buddy. Chewy, baby. Chew. Chew. YouTube just uploaded a bunch of G.I. Joe cartoons, which I thought was pretty cool. But guys, I'm so sorry I got to cut this short. Chewy, my boy, needs my attention. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.